Hi, it's Mayor David Stahl with another edition of Totally East Brunswick. I'm joined today by an East Brunswick resident, many of you know, MaryEllen Firestone, who's been the director of our fantastic public library for the past 6 years. MaryEllen's announced her retirement, so we're here today to talk about all the changes in her experience here in the library over the last, actually 25 years. As I indicated, MaryEllen, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
I appreciate you taking time out of your hectic schedule to talk to myself and the residents about your experiences here at the library. As indicated, you've worked here for over 25 years, the last 6 as a director. And I know, as I was thinking about our interview, you know, libraries certainly have changed from our youth, so to speak, to the fantastic, just multifaceted libraries that exist today. So how would you describe the changes that you've seen in library services over the course of your work here?
Well, thanks, Mayor Stahl. I cannot, when I was also thinking about this interview, I was going back in my mind what this building looked like 25 years ago, and the changes have been so enormous. I was hired as a reference librarian, so at that time, we had a big reference desk and literally thousands of reference books, and it actually was a premier reference library at that point. We were the statewide reference center, which meant that all the libraries used to call us. So that whole department has completely disappeared, more or less. Not that we stopped doing reference, but with the advent of databases and e-books, reference books as we knew them at that time completely disappeared. We had law books, you know, we had a series of author, you know, looking up authors and literature and all the things that the school kids used to come in for, that they are all ebooks today. So that, I think, has been the most enormous change. Actually, the physical building has gone through, you know, as our residents changed, and also as we wanted to use the building for different things, we actually once we got rid of that whole reference department, we built a teen space. And, you know, at the time, a lot of these things come across the country through public libraries, and we go to conferences and find out what other libraries are doing. And I do remember when the teen space came in, that was like 2007, that was like the big thing. And people would say to us, "You really want to build a teen space?" And we were like, "Yes." And the expression of "if you build it, they will come" is so appropriate for the teen space. We wanted a place where teens felt welcomed, that they could, you know, do what they do, which is they work in groups, they do projects together, they come to relax after school. So that was really one of the big changes that started, you know, the whole change in the building. The teen space was first. Then we were fortunate, the library was able to push out. There was an overhang in the back of the building, and we actually pushed out to add a children's programming room, which we never had. And we were literally always duking for the meeting space in this building, you know, with our programs and the public's programs. So we added a children's programming room, we added an adult reading area, which we never had, which our residents have so appreciated, because it's a quiet place to just sit and, you know, read the newspaper, do some quiet work. We added a quiet study room. Our quiet study rooms is amazingly, we have 2 quiet study rooms, and they are literally used every minute that we are open. I really marvel every time I go past there. People sitting, of course, with their laptops and quietly doing work. So Lots of changes. I would say, the biggest change over the years, obviously, was the advent of the digital age, and also we went through a recession, and that certainly made us look at what we were doing and made us really more lean and mean, but really more efficient in the long run.
I think some of the things that you mentioned, I think one thing I would tell you whether I pull up to the building to go to the mayor's office at 9 o'clock or leave at 5, what amazes me is the library is busy every minute of the day.
Yeah.
And I want to compliment you and the Board of Trustees who have worked with you over the years in making sure that with all the changes you talked about, it remains such a popular place. But I think it's interesting, the things that you just described, that the library has learned to adapt to this new world where, the old days we'd pull the cards and we'd go individually through the cards. Right. And even if so many people at their home, with the use of the internet, don't physically need to come in here. But, in fact, one of the board members came to the council meeting the other night to talk about one of the programs that you can get on the public library's website. So in my mind, the library, under your leadership, has really evolved from more just a stack of books to this incredible learning experience. And I think that's, to me, been one of the biggest, how the library has evolved and stayed so critical to our community, whether, again, as you indicated, the teens who want to come here and study, or, my generation who want to come and find a quiet place to read.
That's right. And it's funny because that was one of the big comments. People said, people will get Kindles, they'll never come to the library. And we have found that to absolutely not be true. People they're using the building for different reasons. I mean, we're seeing that. We literally at 9 o'clock, we have business people come in, they're conducting business here, they have their laptops. A lot of people work from home nowadays, so they come here because, it makes them more focused. We still have about 1,200 visitors a day in this building. So they're coming to learn a new computer. They're taking a computer class. They're coming for a program. We still have many, many programs, big programs, AARP and Brandeis and movies. So they're still coming for all of those things. And we are still a social people. I mean, people like to see their neighbors. And of course, people like to read books. And that has not changed.
But even, again, I think the library has done a great job of expanding its role with the different community groups that come in here, because East Brunswick is such a diverse community.
Yes.
So not only you've provided, the resources for the individual communities, but it is literally the melting pot area where so many of our community can come here and partake in a program, learn about another culture, and then follow up with some reading if they like.
That is actually, and that is one of my proudest accomplishments. I feel I was always involved in literacy. I always worked for the statewide literacy organization, and I was really proud of the fact that when our own East Brunswick public schools came to us and said, we need to teach ESL classes, and we have no place to do that during the day. And at that time, our policy did not allow us to rent out our rooms or have our rooms used more than once a month by a group. And I really fought with the director at that time, not that I had to fight that hard, but I said, this is so core to who we are, to literacy and the fact that our community has changed its face totally. We need to open our doors to this group. And they have literally met here weekly, twice a week with their classes, ESL and citizenship classes, for over 15 years now. And you're right. We've backed that with world language collections. In fact, a snapshot, which is a perfect example, just this year we stopped buying music CDs because that time is over with streaming and Pandora and everything else. But we started buying Urdu, books in Urdu. So it just is a total reflection of what's happened in our community and the broader society.
Another program that was instituted a number of years ago, but under your leadership, that I know is doing well, is the Business Resource Center, which again is a novel thing here at the library. Can you expand upon that for the people?
Yes, thank you. Actually, and it's funny because that is also evolving. We just changed the name to Business Resource Connection, really to indicate that this is not a physical space so much. It is a virtual resource that for all of our our town residents. We started this really to pull together and let people know that our librarians are specially trained. We do business research, and we have tremendous databases for businesses to help them grow. And we wanted to really focus on small businesses, entrepreneurs, and home-based businesses. Again, some of this was motivated by the economic downturn. We wanted to really reach out to two different populations. One was people looking for jobs and really having to reinvent themselves, which had to happen in many cases, and then others that were starting small businesses. So the Business Resource Center has been wildly successful, really because we partnered with Middlesex County College. We partnered with the Workforce Investment. We partnered with the Professional Services Group. So we literally opened our doors and said, come in and help our people write resumes, or help our people learn a new skill, or tell them what the hottest jobs are and how to find those jobs. So we really, that was one, big way that we were, really ahead of our time in terms of other libraries, other public libraries. We have been used for a model. Rush Holt was here and actually helped us get that into the federal bill, workforce development, so that libraries are part of that. We're hoping part of that funding to help small businesses. We do research. We did a research for an inventor who we did all the, who his competitors are, what he needed to do to register his invention, et cetera. And he's actually come back to show us his product, and it is now being marketed.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's.
And again, I think not only with respect to the business resource connection, I think so many of the programs we've talked about, East Brunswick Public Library has always been a leader in the state. Before we turn a little bit more and talk about you and your position here, is there any services that you think that the library is kind of like an unknown gem in the library you want to talk about?
Oh, that's a hard one, because I have to say, my staff laughs at me, because I always say, if I never hear the sentence, oh, I never knew the library did that, or I never knew the library had that, if I never heard that again, I would be a very happy director. Part of the things that we, try to emphasize is, we're like the connectors. We want to connect people, obviously, with good books. I mean, that is really, we're still about books and literature, going from very young children, the ready-to-read activities, et cetera. So we have quite a few, it's library jargon, reader's advisory, but really, you can come in and say, I just want to read a good book, and you could, and we'll walk through it with you and say, well, do you like, an adventure story? Do you like mysteries, westerns, whatever? So to me, one of our big roles is connecting people with a good book. What I do want to emphasize, because we're in a multicultural community, we do have many, many materials to help people either learn English or become a citizen, or connect with their own cultures, with different volunteer organizations. So that is something that we certainly can help you find. The other thing I would mention, of course, is our Just for the Health of It initiative. That has also been a huge initiative in the last 6 years. We do a packet of information. People come in from literally all walks of life with all different things that their doctors have told them, and they're nervous, and they want to know, they want to get good information. And our librarians have been trained by the National Libraries of Medicine to do in-depth health research and use databases and websites that are vetted. So you're not just getting junk, you're getting really quality information, and that has been very, very successful and very needed.
You indicated early on you started off as like a research or reference
librarian. Yeah.
And obviously now you're leaving as a director, and I'm sure in between that span you held other jobs here. In that lifetime here at the library, what would you consider to be your proudest accomplishment?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think two things. One, I think that I'm proud of the fact that the staff and I respect and really are fond of each other. I have always felt that a library is not run just by the director. If you don't have a good staff, an engaged staff, you really can't get anything done. I mean, when you look at our output, at all the things we do, the programs, the services, the new, we rent out iPads. These are all ideas that percolated up from our professional librarians, and all I have to say is go do it.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you. There's more to it than that, being an effective leader. Obviously, you've set the standard, and they're responding to your leadership. So I'm a firm believer in if you, from an organization, if you lead from the top and you show the proper respect and provide the right resources for those that are working for you, they're going to do their jobs as long as you provide the leadership, but give them the experience and the growth, and they're going to provide the great product.
True. That's true, and I do also have to take I have to thank our friends of the library. They've been with us really since we opened the doors of the library in 1967. The Friends group literally started then, and they have been tremendous advocates for the library. People join the Friends. That shows that our residents that they really understand that a quality library is not just done by tax dollars, that they have joined the Friends every year, year after year, because the Friends provide those little extras. They built group study rooms this year, and that was, those rooms are never, they're always busy. They're always filled. So the other piece I did want to say is our residents. Our residents, that is the thing I will probably miss the most. I've had residents from the ones that, make suggestions to the ones that complain to the ones that have praised us and supported us and say, you're doing a great job, because people need to hear that. They need to hear that, yes, we're paying attention. We know that you're doing a great job. So I have made friends with many, many residents just by working here.
Part of being a director is more than obviously just running the library in the sense of the library aspect of it. It is also balancing a budget and working very diligently to make it all work. How have you found that experience?
My husband teases me because he does our budget at home, and he's like, every once in a while he says, "You run a $4 million organization," and I said, "Yes, I do." Well, and part of it is that you take that so seriously, but you also have a board of trustees. Again, a director is supported by other leadership, but I have to say that we've always been very careful about our taxpayers' dollars. We understand. I live in town. I understand what that means, that I'm paying those taxes as well. So the big thing that we've always done is ask our residents. We don't assume that we know what they want. We actually ask them. We actually go out and talk to them. We meet where they are. We go into the schools. We go to the senior center. We talk to people and we say, we're thinking of doing X, Y, Z. And you're never going to get 100%.
Really?
Great idea. Yeah, sorry to say, but most times when you explain why you're making a change, pulling music CDs was not an easy decision, because we have a great collection, which we have kept, but there were people that did not understand why we were doing that. And when I explained that $12,000 we wanted to buy e-magazines, Zinio, which is a product that we have, and it costs $12,000 a year, and you can't just print that out in the back shop. You have to figure out what you're gonna stop in order to do something else. And so that's the juggling act with the budget. We always, we're at the point now, we're at a tipping point now, really, honestly, with movies, with DVDs. We're watching that drop every year. It drops, and we know we're going to get to the point where, the next generations coming up are streaming their movies. They're not taking out a DVD. So we know at some point, even though we serve from 0 to 99, we know that we have to constantly monitor that, and that's really what the budget. That's what you do with the budget.
On a lighter note, surely there must have been some very interesting or fond memories of your tenure here.
Oh, many, many, many. I have to say, I have to tell you about one that really sticks out. When I first came here, Sharon Carmazon was the director, and she was looking, and this is really how I got involved with literacy, she was looking for someone to run an English conversation group, and I volunteered to do that. And my first group was lovely, mixed. It was so fun for me because they were Spanish speaking and Chinese and Indian, and we had this lovely group. And when the first session, we went around the room and I said, well, what's your goal? Like, what would you like to, end up when we finished the 6 or 7 sessions? And as we went around, this lovely Chinese lady, she said, I want to speak just like you. And I became hysterically laughing because people had always teased me that you sound like Brooklyn. And so I said, you really want to speak just like me? So that made me laugh. And I'll never forget that because we got a good laugh out of it. Over the years, we've had tremendous programming. We had the Asian Indian Heritage Days, and we had, the Chinese New Year's, and we had an ice cream social. And our 35th birthday party. I mean, we had so many wonderful events where hundreds of people came, and we had a big cake. And the Votech made this 10-foot long cake. So things like that. Those are wonderful memories that I'll treasure.
The thing that I think a lot of people don't even recognize is when you talk about the programming is EBTV itself.
Yes.
Which is such a large part of the library. They do such an incredible job of keeping the community informed and also providing cultural shows as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, and they are unique. I mean, that's the wonderful part. They produce a weekly news show that is not done by any other cable station in New Jersey, and the fact that they are in the library, that has been a tremendous boost for us because first of all, we get great coverage, but also it keeps them really neutral. Like we they don't have to get into the politics of the town, and we can just provide our residents with a lot of good information.
MaryEllen, you mentioned earlier on that one of the nice things about coming to the library is if you're looking for a good book, the librarians here can make some recommendations. So I'm going to put you on the hot seat. What are some of the good books that you've read over time?
Oh boy. Well, I read both fiction and nonfiction, and I have to say, the nice thing is Claudia Link, who runs our book discussion group, over the years, she agonizes over what books to pick. So it's very lucky. She tells me, all right, you cannot read them while the book club has to take them out. You can wait till after the book club. So I have read many, many of her recommendations over the years. I like a lot of, I've read obviously some professional books, but I have to say that mostly I like a good mystery. This past year I've recommended Louise Penny. She has a whole series of mystery books. I've read Sue Mott Kidd recently. I've done both. I've had a very eclectic taste. That's the beauty of being in the library, and that's one of the things I wanted to. People ask me, what are you going to do when you retire? And I said, I'm actually going to be able to browse our shelves without running to do something else. Like, I always feel guilty when I'm working, like to really take the time to look through all our shelves of books. And so I can't wait to be just a plain old patron.
Well, I'm sure that even when you're, quote, that plain old patron, you're going to always be a resource to those that are working here. And speaking of a resource, obviously the Library Board of Trustees is going to have to pick a successor.
Yes.
What words of advice would you give to him or her?
Well, two things. One, I have to say that our very first director here at the library was quoted by a reporter as saying, "We have no intention of being ordinary." And I have to say that has really guided this organization from day one. We never intended to be an ordinary public library. And we were fortunate that we had both residents and elected officials who supported that, who really wanted something better. And a lot of people do move to East Brunswick because of our library and because of our school system, and also all the amenities of the town. So I would say my biggest advice to my successor is that there is no I in team. It takes a team to have a great library. And yes, I agree with you that a leader is important. And I think the leader does set a tone. And I do hope that the next leader of this wonderful institution takes into account that we have a strong board who has set us on a good path with a strategic plan, that every year we look at that plan and write an implementation plan, but we have a very creative and dedicated staff, and I think that they will go far if they are led well. And
again, crystal ball time, you've seen the evolution of libraries. Where do you think libraries are going to go, over the next decade?
It's hard to say in a way, but certainly the digital content piece. You mentioned before, we're moving from being a warehouse of books to really being a place where content is created. People come here to invent. People come here to learn how to knit, to take a computer class. So I think libraries will keep moving in that direction, where it'll be like a meeting place where, we have young people now, we have a 20 and 30s programs where they come and just play games because they want to meet each other and they don't necessarily want to go to a bar. So I think it becomes more and more of a community center, a place where people are just bouncing ideas off of each other, always coming for information, always coming to broaden their horizons with a good book. So it's hard to say. I mean, certainly the digital age is upon us, and that will mean many more changes in terms of physical books. But I have many people say to us, I still read books because I still like it.
Absolutely. And again, in closing, I think that the library, through this big change that has evolved in the book business, so to speak, where you see retail bookstores go out of business, yet this library has continued to evolve, and as I indicated earlier on, it is always busy. 24/7, realistically, when you take into account the ability to use the library on the internet and the many resources that the library offers, on the web. I think it speaks to the fact that it is one of the stellar programs here in East Brunswick, and I do agree with you. It is a fascinating part as to why some people move here in connection with the fantastic school system we have, and as you indicated, the amenities that we provide from municipal services. It does make East Brunswick a great place to live. I want to thank you on behalf of all the residents in saying that you did a fantastic job. I certainly know that you should feel happy knowing, at least in my opinion, and I'm sure that many will share that opinion with me, that you're leaving the library in a much better place than when you took over director, and I think that is probably an accomplishment that you should be quite proud of.
Thank you.
And again, my thanks on behalf of the community. I appreciate everyone taking the opportunity to tune in and listen to MaryEllen. She's not off the hook yet. She's still around. Come in and talk to her. Maybe she's going to recommend a book specifically for you. But again, thanks for watching, and don't hesitate to always come to the library. It is always a great place to come and live and learn. Thanks again.